welcome to Connections Radio Show. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and our show is about exploring a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us feeling, thinking, imagining, and connected. And today, again, I have one of my favorite co-hosts that's joining me to talk about Park Square Theater. We have the Executive Director of Park Square Theater, Michael John Peace.
Good morning. You know, this is one of my favorite basements besides the one I work in, is the studio here at AM 950. So it's good to be here.
We do have a nice basement, although there are times when I wish I could have it like when I grew up in the basement, there was like a billiard table. And,
right.
We should have like a picture of dogs that are playing poker someplace.
Exactly.
but we don't. We
need a dart tournament next time.
A dart tournament would be terrific, and there's a perfect place for that. So I will make sure that in our next show, prior to the show, we'll do a few darts.
Excellent.
So as you all know who have listened to our show, we love Park Square Theater. And the mission of Park Square is to enrich our community by producing and presenting exceptional live theater that touches the heart, engages the mind, and delights the spirit. And we have 3 shows left of this season, and we'll be talking about at least 2 of them with some folks in the rest of the show. But tell us about the 3 last shows of this season.
Well, we just had our first preview last night of Ken Ludwig's Baskerville, a Sherlock Holmes mystery. So that is great fun that we'll be exploring with some of our artists today. And then we are so pleased to have as a theater in residence Flying Foot Forum for their 25th anniversary production of French Twist, set in a Parisian cafe. I first saw Flying Foot Forum when I was brand new to the Minnesota, actually, getting my master's degree, and it was their first concert. And they were so magnificent. I thought, this is like the best dance I've ever seen. And I had no idea until I just was talking to Joe Quala, their founder, a few weeks ago, that was the first time they'd ever done a big show.
Really?
And it was so fully formed, and his artistic vision was so clear. So it's great to have them on the Boss stage.
And that one goes from June 22nd to July 15th.
Yep. And then after that, and since you have the dates, I'll let you do that part.
Yes.
Then after that, we are so pleased to have our dear friends at Theater Mooback on the Boss stage with a world premiere. So playwrights do this to us sometimes. They create these long titles. But this one, don't let this one put you off. It's so much fun. It is by a local Hmong playwright, and it is called A Korean Drama Addict's Guide to Losing Your Virginity.
It looks hysterical.
Oh, it is.
And I have to admit, I have seen Korean soap operas. There used to be a little Korean barbecue place that had the soap operas, and you can get hooked even when you don't know the language.
They're the most popular soap operas in the world, in no matter what language or cultural background, Korean drama.
So you've also been doing some crazy good stuff in getting your leadership in place for next year. You have a new artistic director.
We do. So Richard Cook, who many people think of as synonymous with Park Square, been with us for 43 years, retires on September 1st, his 70th birthday. It's a Saturday, so he doesn't even have to come into work that day. So appropriate. And we have just hired Flordelino Lagundino, the artistic director with a name like a poem.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Now, you had a chance to get to know him before he was hired. And as I understand, there was a search committee that actually did the hiring.
Exactly. Our board had a great search committee, and we had 113 applications from across the country and 2 from the United Kingdom. So we can technically say it was a worldwide search.
An international opportunity.
Exactly. And what was particularly wonderful about it, in every step of the way, the diversity we were seeking was just naturally occurring.
That's
about
wonderful.
Gender balance and people of color and sort of age and how they got to the point in their lives when they could be applying for this job. And so when it came down to 2, it was then 12-hour immersion days at Park Square for each of these poor souls.
So if it was like a survival,
right?
Whoever
Exactly.
survived.
If they're still standing, they will get the job. And my role, since I'm not making the hire, but because we're co-leaders, though, was to take each candidate to lunch. And it really, from the moment I met Flordelino in our basement at the theater to walk over to the St. Paul Grill for lunch, we just clicked right away. And in those first 5-10 minutes, he completely showed his heart. So when you go back to our mission statement and that mind, spirit, and heart, it's like there it all is. So it's not like he doesn't have the other elements, but he really leads with his heart. And so I knew who he was, and it was so authentic.
What's wonderful is he's really your partner. You mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
In what ways do you envision this partnership developing and the roles that you will play together in supporting each other?
Well, I think in this particular scenario where he's been in the Twin Cities for a couple projects and worked with Twin Cities artists, but will be making his home here for the first time, then I get to take the lead on making sure that we're navigating our community connections and sort of introducing him to that. And then I think artistically, there's this old trope that the artistic director spends the money and the executive director tries to keep it coming in the door. And there is some truth to that. But he's founded companies. He's been a scrappy theater artist, much like Richard Cook was in his long career. So it's definitely a shared responsibility. And we're already bouncing so many artistic ideas off each other and having those rich conversations about what does this mean for the community and our mission to make these choices. And then I'm always like, right, so I'm glad we need to sell tickets.
Butts and seats. There we go.
Right, exactly. Because it's also, that is part of the mission, right? If people aren't seeing your work, then we're just having rehearsals. So.
And who is not seeing the work,
right.
I think is something to always be looking at and how to make it more accessible.
Right. So I'm very excited to bring my passions that can fall short because of who I am in the world, to be married with a really strong leader of color who can, it's not all on him, right? We have a community advisory board, we have a board, we have a whole organization that's behind finding who's not in the seats and finding a way to get them there. First, of course, by making sure they work at the theater in some capacity, and just make the experience as reflective of Minnesota as possible.
That community engagement is something that I've always admired about the work that you do in the variety of ways that... Will he be working with some of your education department as well?
Yes, he and Mary have had many long conversations already, Mary Finnerty, our education director, about the Golden Scope. And our program is very different. It is very unusual for a regional theater to have a repertory of titles that we bring back every year, every so years. And it was the thing that every candidate thought they wanted to change. And it's like, well, if you have a way to serve 32,000 young people reliably every year without doing it this way, we'd love to hear it. But after 25 years, I think you don't. I think this is what we're going to do. So
I love it. Now, you started off by saying that you felt like you really knew his heart. Can you tell me about what it was that he said or what you remember that most struck you about having his heart be open to you?
I think, when we've used this quotation in some of our press and online, it's that he really sees the act of making theater as a statement of love, from how you choose the project and how you put it together and how you bring those voices to it. And that I felt was really real. He had a search for what was going to be his career and his place in his family and the world itself. And so that really comes across as to how he tries to help other people on their journey in that similar way. And the fact that he's a new father with a 16-month-old daughter who he had to spend 6 months away from while he was gigging around the country, and he doesn't want that anymore. So he'll still have long 12-hour days at the theater, but at least he gets to go home to her once he moves here.
And I think that is one of the treasures of Minnesota, is that we attract people that want to raise their family here.
Yes.
And they want to create roots. And then you have a longevity of a vision that I think is very exciting.
Well, and Minnesotans it's this Midwest thing where we're a little suspicious and dazzled at the same time of people who are not from here, but then they can't be important. They can't be a prophet here unless they've been to New York, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
so
true.
He can come as the prophet and then become a Minnesotan and actually make a life instead of just eking a living out.
Well, we've got a few minutes. We can, what I'd love to do is just give a sense of the few shows that are going to be coming up at the, for the new season, because I know that tickets are available. Is that right, for the new season?
They are very much today. You could buy any one of the couple shows we're going to be talking about next and turn it into a package with shows from next season.
Oh, that's a very good idea. So the first show that's going to be coming up is Sometimes There's Wine.
Oh, thank heavens.
Yes, and I hear it's a show with two women.
It is Shannon Custer and Carolyn Poole, who are longtime friends, and I love how so this is their follow-up to their hit sketch comedy show, Two Sugars, Room for Cream.
Oh, nice.
And they are hard at work on the third piece, which hopefully will be on our stage in the future if you're listening, Fleur de Lino, called And When Life's Really Good, There's Whiskey. So it's very much a progression in this show, so fun. It is about that. A lot of the comedy and the scenarios hinge on this, what they call that sliver of a woman's life, which she can still get pregnant or break a hip. You're on the divide.
and there's good wine to celebrate.
That's why you need it, right?
That's right. Now, I also want to bring up Agitators. That's one that I have been looking at and so excited about. So tell me just a little bit about that.
Yes, so Agitators is about the lifelong and very tempestuous friendship between Susan B. Anthony, the great suffrage worker, and Frederick Douglass. And it's so modern in just that intersectionality of the feminist movement and civil rights for people of color and how they're conjoined, but then so often they have to turn their back on each other to get their goal met, right? And it's what we see today with Black Lives Matter and marches on Washington and Me Too. It's sort of like, are you with me for the whole journey or just the part that gets you to your next step, right?
And what are the ways that we can support each other, and what are the ways that we need to be disruptive and advocate for the things that we need? And
right.
I just think it's a beautiful metaphor.
Yeah, and I'm so happy with anyone who auditioned would have been a fantastic pairing, but it's great to have Emily Gunyo-Halas back on our stage in a two-hander. That was her first role 12 years ago at Park Square, was in a two-hander that sort of helped make her name. So now she gets to be the senior person in terms of Park Square experience.
So check out parksquaretheater.org, and you'll see all sorts of cool things about the shows that we're going to be talking about, as well as next season. Stay tuned for our next segment, because we'll be talking about the Hound of the Baskerville. Woo! So we'll be back shortly. Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Ken Hageland of Minnesota Hospice, inviting you to listen to our brand new show airing on AM 950 on Saturdays from noon to 1. The Minnesota Hospice Show looks forward to discussing how we honor life and to exploring the physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional issues we experience throughout all stages of life. Learn how hospice is the new face of hope and how it's your benefit, your choice. Join us Saturdays at noon and check us out online at minnesotahospice.com.
Do you have questions about your career, your romantic life, your family, or your pets? Do you dream of connecting with someone who's crossed over? Hi, I'm Christine Schroeder, and I'm an intuitive medium and psychic. I offer strategic insights, useful answers, and practical advice to help you navigate life's most interesting situations. To learn more and book a phone reading, visit ChristineIntuitiveMedium.wordpress.com. That's ChristineIntuitiveMedium.wordpress.com.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning knows nobody loves summer more than us Minnesotans. We also love being smart with our money, which is why during June we're offering our AC Performance Tune-Up for $25 off. We're also offering savings of $700 on new AC systems. It all adds up to a lot of reasons to love summer even more. Call for an appointment and spend the season in cool comfort. Some restrictions apply. Learn more at StandardHeatingDeals.com. Standard Heating, the comfort you deserve.
With all the convenient big box stores that sell appliances, why do so many Minnesotans choose Warner Stellian? Check online to learn that Warner Stellian is a Minnesota family-owned business for over 60 years. Warner Stellian sells more brands than anyone else, and our passionate specialists are committed to impressing you so much that you'll refer us to everyone you know. That's our mission here at Warner Stellian. Ask around, check us out online, and when it's your time to buy appliances, join over 300,000 Minnesota homeowners and choose the specialists, Warner Stellian.
Building a new home or remodeling a treasured older home can be one of the most exciting and rewarding endeavors of a lifetime. The key to success is to have your priorities and expectations decided up front and that your building partners all share your goals and vision. Steve Northway, founder of Construction Advocates, takes the mystery out of the process of building or remodeling and helps ensure a rewarding process for all involved. For more information or to set up an interview with Steve, go to constructionadvocates.com. That's constructionadvocates.com. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. We are having fun in the studio. We are. You're taking things apart and then trying to put them back together, and it's all good.
That's how
all
theater works, though, Lori.
It is.
I think it's how these headsets should work.
Yeah, and I like how you're holding your headset now. It's kind of like the old-time radio where you had to have like one hand up by the ear.
I'll start doing the folio work over here, too.
Good. So welcome, everyone. As you know, we're talking about Park Square Theater, and I have my terrific co-host today, Michael John Peace, one of my favorite co-hosts, and we talk about Park Square. And in our last segment, we learned a little bit about the new artistic director.
Yes, Flordelino Lagundino.
Who's got a big heart.
Yes.
And a lot of vision. And we had previewed that we were going to be talking about Ken Ludwig's Baskerville, a Sherlock Holmes mystery that's going from June 15th to August 5th. And in the studio now, we have Theo Langeson and we have Marika Proctor. And Theo is the director.
Yeah.
Yup. And we have Marika, who plays 40 different roles at least.
Well, I play 15, and I have two wonderful teammates on, there are two other people who also play about 15. So, yes, together it's around 40.
And we're going to be hearing from some of those characters.
Wonderful, yes.
During
They're
this
very
segment.
excited.
But what I want to do is start with Theo. When I went to the website, which is parksquaretheater.org, take a look at it. One of the quotes that they had for you is about how you liked this Sherlock Holmes character as kind of a superhero. But you also mentioned to me when we were talking that it's been kind of a trajectory of other things that you have learned as you've developed this piece. So tell me about superhero to where you are now.
Yeah, I think for me, Sherlock Holmes is one of those characters that really has a place in the pantheon as we think about superheroes, because it's a character that we all sort of know goes through many different stories, many different iterations, and also like Sherlock has an almost superhuman ability to deduce things, right? And so like when I approached the script, it was like, okay, how can I make this summer and fun and feel like a little bit like superhero? Because that's sort of like at heart, I'm a 12-year-old boy, and like I just want everything to be explosions and
adventure.
And adventure, and that was sort of the way that I first approached the script, and I think I'm glad that's the way I first approached it, because it actually, as we went through it, it really opened up how I thought about it in terms of thinking about how much latitude there is actually to really put my own take on it, or really sort of like push the boundaries of what this character can be, and maybe highlight different aspects of the character that maybe people didn't see before or didn't think about as much. And so in the same way that we, everyone has their favorite Batman, I feel like everyone has their favorite Sherlock, and and people will fight for hours and hours on like why they think Benedict Cumberbatch is the best or the worst, or if they're Robert Downey Jr. people, or or if they're Sir Ian McKellen people, or and so I think to me that was really the sort of the key in the door. And then once we got in that room, it was like, oh, and now we can really play and have fun.
And did you make a discovery that surprised you as you were working with Sherlock, that you came in with sort of a Batman superhero, but there was something else that emerged in the process that you discovered?
I think that for me, something that I feel like we've done a good job crafting, and I hope comes through for the audience, is that the story, it's a mystery. It's a story that a lot of people know. But I think at the heart of it, it's really a story about how people take care of each other. And there's a really strong relationship between Watson and Sherlock that is really wonderful and rooted in love, and is really one of those things that just like makes you feel nice and warm and good about the world when, those moments seem to be fewer and farther between. But I think that was one thing that surprised me, just the moments where I'm like, oh man, That's just lovely.
And Mariko, did you have some of those moments where you felt like you had that connection, that you had that lovely moment and that in that discovery?
I think absolutely. I think in order to even just make this show happen, like because it's so kind of technically demanding and because Theo has asked us from day one to be so playful with each other and about the way that we tell the story, we really do have to take care of each other every time we do a scene, every time we do a run, both the actors, but also, I mean, with our stage management crew, with our dresser, with the designers who put all of their thought and energy and feeling into the designs for the show, and with Theo. I mean, we've all had to take care of each other. And yeah, every time that we come back to the theater to do the show is going to be an exercise of that. So,
would you like to introduce us to one of your characters?
Sure. This is Miss Beryl Stapleton, and she lives on the moors, and there's a really, really big dog. That's
would it be a
causing
hound?
lot of problem. It would be a hound. Indeed, it is absolutely a large hound, and it means business, and it's not something to laugh off. That's something she says.
So tell me about some of the characters that, as they were developing, how did you work with the actor in that discovery process?
You know, I think the best thing that I can do as a director is really to trust the genius of the people that are coming in the room. They're coming with so much experience and so much skill. I mean, the sort of the threshold of entry for being in a play is so high, right? You have to audition. We audition, you know, sometimes hundreds of people depending on the situation. But so when they're coming into the room, I'm trusting that they know what they're doing, and so really it was just giving them a lot of latitude to play, you know, and say when something really worked, letting them know, and when like maybe there's an aspect to like, oh, try maybe pushing in this direction. But that, I mean, like I can take absolutely no credit for the talent of the artists because they're coming in with decades of experience.
Except the fact that you chose them.
I mean, but it was so easy, right? It's like you get a dessert and you eat it, and it's like congratulating yourself on choosing a cake. Right? It doesn't make any sense. Like it was. I'm thankful that they said yes. You know, like that's like there's just all of the being in the room is just such a treat and a joy, and like you know, Sarah Richardson, who plays Watson, has been my favorite performer in the Twin Cities for 12 years. You know, and it's like. It's real. I feel so honored and just floored by the amount of talent and skill that's in the room.
And I'm going to flip it back to the Park Square Theater and how you support directors and how you support the artistic community in creating that sense of trust, and the people that you bring in have that because you nurture that.
Well, we do, and for better and for worse, it really does start with such total trust that we say, here's the keys to the kingdom. Go make a great show. Don't spend more than this. Well, all right, make a case. Then we'll see if we can come up with that extra $100. But it really begins and I think that'll be something that Flor de Lino continues of Richard Cook's tradition, is just like, again, we've brought in the best cakes that have been baked in the Twin Cities. So just let them have it, right? We don't exert a lot of control at all. So.
Well, we have a few seconds left. I'd like to meet another character, if you would.
Oh, mein Gott, yes. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a maid at the best hotel in London, but I actually come from Germany. So it's such a pleasure to be here.
And does she have any interaction with the hound as well?
No. Lucky her. She's very lucky.
And with that, we're ending this segment. We're going to keep the Hound of the Baskerville folks for a little bit more into the next segment, so we'll be hearing a few more characters. Again, Sherlock Holmes Mystery runs from June 15th to August 5th. Learn more about it and buy tickets at parksquaretheater.org. And we'll be right back after a few commercials, and stay with us because the theater is only going to continue with more fun. Stages Theater Company is dedicated to creating a space where diverse opinions, courageous dialogue, and community engagement is not only valued, but vital to our shared artistic and educational success. Stages Theater Company creates a welcoming home for all. For over 30 years, Stages has supported quality theater programming for children. Stages gives opportunities for youth to be on stage, backstage, in the audience, and in the classroom. Whether you come to see a show, enroll a young person in a workshop, or benefit from their outreach programs in the community, Stages brings art to life. Learn about Stages Theater by going to stagestheater.org and become part of the magic of live theater by taking your family to an amazing show or enrolling someone you love in an education program. Stages Theater Company operates out of the Hopkins Center for the Arts, located in Main Street in the heart of downtown Hopkins. For more information on Stages Theater, go to stagestheater.org. That's stagestheater.org. Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Pride Weekend is almost here, and so is the music. Reserve your tickets now. Come out for Pride Night at Music in the Zoo featuring Xavier Rudd with special guest Emmanuel Jal on Wednesday, June 20th at 7:30 p.m. at the Wiesner Family Amphitheater in the Minnesota Zoo in Apple Valley. Reserved seats are $35 and VIP box tickets are $47.50 plus fees. Don't miss Pride in concert on Saturday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. in Loring Park, where the main act will be Grammy Award-winning R&B pop singer Brandy, accompanied by her full band and dancers. The opening acts include Jujubee from RuPaul's Drag Race, Grammy winner Jamesia Bennett, and the Vigilantes Collective. The MC for the concert is Ricky Sebastian of Pride Radio. Tickets are $25 for ages 18 plus, and VIP tickets are $99 in advance for ages 21 plus, and include free food and beverages and the chance to win meet and greet. Fireworks will follow the show at 10 p.m. Find details and tickets at tcpride.org. That's tcpride.org.
Building a new home or remodeling a treasured older home can be one of the most exciting and rewarding endeavors of a lifetime. The key to success is to have your priorities and expectations decided up front and that your building partners all share your goals and vision. Steve Northway, founder of Construction Advocates, takes the mystery out of the process of building or remodeling and helps ensure a rewarding process for all involved. For more information or to set up an interview with Steve, go to constructionadvocates.com. That's constructionadvocates.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Hunter Hawes. Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 90. Sunday, partly sunny with a high near 90. And Monday, chances showers, mostly cloudy with a high near 77. EatLocalMinnesota.com is your way to find unique local restaurants offering one-of-a-kind food and atmosphere. Your choice is setting from casual to trendy. Great spots for date nights, evenings with friends, or business occasions. Make sure the money you spend stays local. Find out more at EatLocalMinnesota.com.
Celebrating Park Square Theater, and I've got the executive director, Michael John Peace, as my co-host today. Welcome, Michael John.
Oh, such a pleasure to be on the moors with you, my lassie.
Yes, we are on the moors. We are admiring dogs, and we're having fun. And we have Theo Langeson, who is the director of the show, and Marika Proctor, who plays many roles and has been sharing some of her characters with us on the show today. Welcome back.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. So tell me about the set. I hear it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's sort of, we've taken the sort of normal proscenium of the theater and put 3 smaller prosceniums within it, and so it sort of is like a wall of picture frames, and 3 of the picture frames are like mini stages that set pieces sort of come in and out of, and it really creates really dynamic depth in the stage, and
a little bit like Alice in Wonderland too.
Yeah, I think so.
Going through the looking glass.
Yeah,
of the
a little
frame.
bit. Yeah.
And interestingly enough, you as a director chose 2 women to play Sherlock and Watson.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were the best. So like that's really was the thing, you know, like
What, you hired people because of their qualifications?
Yeah, you know, I think like I knew so first of all, the play is written for 2 men, and it's 5 actors, and 4 of those actors are men and 1 is a woman. And like the fact of the matter is that playwrights don't write enough roles for women, and so there's an abundance of talented women that can do shows, and so it sort of is like going into the process, if you can open that up and just cast people regardless of gender, you're doing yourself a favor, because you can see more talented folks. And so that's what we did from the jump. Where I was reading women for both roles, and I couldn't be more pleased. I think for me, even if you are a little skeptical, like you forget after 2 minutes that Sherlock and Watson were ever men. It's just they're just so good.
And when you're casting, you're also looking at how they interact with each other, not just, so I'm sure that was part of, the first run of like, okay, these are sort of the finals that you're thinking of, and then how do you blend the two?
Yeah, and like how do these two actors highlight the strengths in each other? How do they fill in each other's gaps and lift each other up? So, yeah, I couldn't be more excited with the folks that we have, McKenna and Kelly Eiding and Sarah Richardson as Sherlock and Watson respectively are just forces of nature, and it's really wonderful to see them work.
Marika, do you get to interact with either of them in any of your characters that you'd like to share right now?
Oh, I do. There's a young lad named Cartwright, and he gets to talk with Sherlock, and Sherlock sends him on a few errands to help solve the mystery, and he's very excited about that. Yeah, it's very.
And is Cartwright, how young is Cartwright?
Cartwright, I would say he's 13 and a half.
And do you think Cartwright someday may become another Sherlock?
Oh, yeah, but I think he'd probably carry a big knife or a big club or something.
This is a Sherlock with a wicked Sherlock.
Yeah, no, not wicked, just, different strengths.
Just prepared.
Prepared, that's right, yeah.
Now, are all the different characters written into the script?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's written as a piece to really be nimble and to really change a lot, and so there it's all in there, just all the different characters and all the different changes, and we stick pretty close to that. There's a couple moments where like just to give a sense of movement, I've added like very small transitional pieces that aren't necessarily scripted, but the script is written as bonkers as the show is. So.
Well, I love walking into the rehearsal hall, and when we have shows like this with many scenes that maybe only last less than a minute, and so some designers or directors come in and they've got a spreadsheet, to keep track of it. I loved all the colored Post-it notes of like, here are all the people you're going to be second by second in every scene impressive. Up on the wall. Yeah. Thank you, 3M.
It's a process.
Yeah, and I'm trained as a deviser, so like creating theater from the ground up, and so like seeing the thing laid out on the wall in possibly movable ways is like is the way my brain works, and so it's like going to the room. It's like I needed to see the thing in a large form.
I still need to. I have a little cheat sheet backstage. Yeah. I still need to see the thing. But we're going to know it really soon. But it's
well, and I think as an actor, you know it, but it's like so much is going on, and especially when you do multiple performances, and when you have those 2-show days, it'll be like, wait, did I do this already?
Right.
Because I did it once today. I just don't know if it was a few minutes ago or hours ago.
Right.
So as you're doing this, you said you're a deviser, and I love watching devise play. But some of my audience may not know what devising means, and it seems to be an art form that is growing and having more impact in theater today. So if you could just give me a little bit.
So devising is basically just a blanket term for folks who make up theater from ground zero, and everyone has a slightly different process. But it's basically like, instead of going into the room with a play, go into the room with an idea and see what play comes out. And that's like basically the sort of blanket term, but it looks different with everyone.
And with devising, the actors can take a stronger role in helping to actually script out the play?
They have to.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's just the thing, is that without the voices of the actors in the room in a devise process, the play doesn't happen. And I tried to bring a little bit of that spirit into this scripted thing, and so a lot of times instead of like trying to rack my brain and think of a solution, I would, say, hey, folks, this is a moment that I'm trying to figure out. What do you think? And we would work it out together. And I think that does a lot of things. I think one thing that it does really well is create a sense of community and bond with the cast and designers and crew and stuff. So,
well, I think that's going to be a good segue to talk a little bit about the French twist. We were talking about devising and sort of the excitement of having actors take on different roles and being a part of it. As you're, and we're going to talk about French twist in just a moment. We got Joe, and your last name is not pronounced Chavala. You'll tell me how to pronounce your last name.
But he's heard that one before.
Javala?
Kuala.
Kuala. I should have asked before and put a Q so I could read it correctly. Kuala.
I've gotten so used to not telling people how to pronounce it because I get different pronunciations all the time.
Well, this way we're training a whole audience, not just me, on what you do. We're going to talk a little bit about French Twist next and the cool 22 years, and we were previewed by our friend Michael John about him seeing the very first production, and we want to learn about that. But before we go, I want to have one more time to hear from Marika, a character that's in The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Let's see. Here's one of the broadest ones, I would say. Mrs. Barrymore is very excited to have you come, and she wants you to know about the wishes dog that's on the moors.
I think that was a perfect an invitation to come see this wonderful show. The preview, is that tonight, June 15th, or is that opening tonight or last night?
Official opening next Friday.
Next Friday. So preview.
Previews.
We're in previews. Preview started June 15th. It runs through the August 5th. Theo Langeson, thank you as the director. Love to hear your insights.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
And Marika, thank you for sharing many different characters that give my audience a little taste of the show that's coming up.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. So we're moving now to the French twist. And Joe Kuala is with us today. Can tell us a little bit about this Parisian romp, this vaudevillian comedy, music, dance explosion. Tell me more.
Well, that's exactly what it is. So French Twist, this is a show that we did about 10 years ago, I think, at the Guthrie. And we loved it so much that we thought it would be a perfect show for our 25th anniversary. So, it's basically a night in a French cabaret and all the wild people that hang out there and lots of different personalities. And it sort of morphs from the cabaret into a sort of a street scene at one point. And there's nods to all sorts of famous French people or people that were famous because they were in France, like Loie Fuller, who was actually American and made her big splash in France during the Art Nouveau period. And there's a nod to Leslie Caron and Gene Kelly. We have a tap dance with Jeremy Bensoussan and Kalina Miller, two fantastic tap dancers. And they actually do a little improvised segment with our wonderful percussionists Peter O'Gorman and Charles Robinson. And so that, and then that kind of morphs into a flamenco dance with Molly Stoltz, who dances with Zarango Flamenco. And it just keeps moving around in sort of in a very kind of liquid way.
So you kind of feel like you're walking around Paris and all the different aspects of Paris come up as you're doing your meandering.
Exactly. And then the whole framework for it is the cabaret, Chez Jojo, and I am Jojo.
Oh, so, fun. So you've done this performance before.
Yes.
How has it changed doing it now?
It's changed a lot. We have a lot of new people in it, and it's kind of based on, the characters are really based a lot on the people that we have in the show. So we've changed a couple of the characters. I've written some new songs, and the whole design is completely new. The structure is different. There's new scenes.
Did you write the other music?
Victor Supank and me and Eric Jensen have written all the new music.
And the pieces before? were they original
Yes.
for
Yeah.
your group as well?
Yeah. Same.
Isn't that amazing?
I
mean,
know,
I
I'm just,
grew
like,
up in this
stunned.
field, and I still think, here we are in our little coffee shop here in the basement at IM 950,
Exactly.
and it's like, oh yeah, so I wrote some new songs, and we just pretend like that's normal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is for someone as talented as Joe. But
But I'm like doing a timeout. Wait.
yeah,
So there's more music, and
Yeah.
you did the original music as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, there's lots of new music, and during the first act, we actually have a whole piece that we tap dance to classical music. So actually, Handel and Bach
How
and
wild!
Mozart.
I have never, ever in my wildest imagination thought of tap and classical music in the same sort of frame.
Yeah, well, especially those composers,
Yeah.
Bach and Handel is great because it's very rhythmic and
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit syncopated, and then we add a lot of syncopation to it. Mozart, a lot of fast-moving notes, and so the footwork goes really well with it.
Did you spend time in Paris, or have you just always loved Paris?
I've spent a bit of time in Paris. The company actually played Paris back in the 90s. So we were there for a while, and I saw my name up on a little kiosk. It was lovely. I always wanted to be an American in Paris. I'm Gene Kelly, and I thought, oh, now I am a professional American in Paris. So,
I'm curious, did it impact the performance? During the performance, oh my goodness. I can't even ask this question right now because we're already hearing the music come up. I was so totally enthralled. I paid no attention to where time we were. I'm going to have
stay tuned.
I know. We're going to have to ask this question after we get back.
Okay.
Do go to parksquaretheater.org and buy tickets for both French Twist as well as The Hound of the Baskerville. And when we come back, we'll hear about the impact of Paris in the program that we will be seeing. And we'll be right back after a few short commercials, so stay tuned. Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Stages Theater Company is dedicated to creating a space where diverse opinions, courageous dialogue, and community engagement is not only valued, but vital to our shared artistic and educational success. Stages Theater Company creates a welcoming home for all. For over 30 years, Stages has supported quality theater programming for children. Stages gives opportunities for youth to be on stage, backstage, in the audience, and in the classroom. Whether you come to see a show, enroll a young person in a workshop, or benefit from their outreach programs in the community, Stages brings art to life. Learn about Stages Theater by going to stagestheater.org and become part of the magic of live theater by taking your family to an amazing show or enrolling someone you love in an education program. Stages Theater Company operates out of the Hopkins Center for the Arts, located in Main Street in the heart of downtown Hopkins. For more information on Stages Theater, go to stagestheater.org. That's stagestheater.org.
Minnesota is home to the only major institution in North America devoted to Russian art, history, and culture. The Museum of Russian Art, located off 35W on Diamond Lake Road in South Minneapolis, can be your personal connection to extraordinary artists, stories, and context. We offer more exhibitions and events than ever before, from concerts and lectures to vodka tastings and more. Open daily, free parking, and a great Groupon deal. Find out more at tmora.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, get-you-out-of-pain-now dental office. We always offer a free exam and x-rays for new patients because we believe you shouldn't have to pay to find out what's wrong with your teeth. Call today. We're open early and late and Saturdays to fit your schedule. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get. Call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH or visit fixmyteeth.us.
Do you know you can spend your entire life without ever having a psychic reading and be just fine? On the other hand, if you try a psychic reading, you may experience strategic insights and useful answers to help you navigate life's most interesting situations. I'm Christine Schroeder. I'm an intuitive medium and psychic. I can help you to connect with someone that's crossed over, find answers to questions about your career, your romantic life, your family, even your pets. Visit my website at christineintuitivemedium.wordpress.com.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. We have been having a great time with Park Square Theater. I have my favorite co-host, Michael John Peace, who
with
is
his broken headset over here. I broke it, so it's my fault.
And he is with Park Square Theater. He's the executive director of Park Square Theater. We've been talking about The Hound of the Baskervilles, and we just started talking to Joe Koala.
Ooh la la.
Thank you. About the French twist. And a question that I was going to ask him was the impact of being in Paris. But I think a better question is, watching American in Paris as a young child, how did that influence the piece that you developed?
Well, when I was a kid, my parents were teachers, and they got a grant to go study in Ohio. And they dropped my sister and me. I was probably 7 years old, and they dropped my sister and me off at a theater to watch American in Paris. I think it was even at night, just the two of us. And we went to see this, and it was like this great feeling of independence, and saw American in Paris. And I don't think I was aware at that point of what Paris was even, or Gene Kelly. So it just, blew my mind. And I thought, I want to be a part of that world. So that's, I think, where that started. And then I studied French in high school, and I had this fantastic French teacher, Winifred Karstensen, I'm going to say her name, and she just opened up that world for, when you learn the language too, it opens the world up to you in a really different way. So I actually, one of the songs I wrote for the show, or a couple of songs, are some of them are partly in French, and one of them is actually all in French. And so that was kind of what got me interested in France and Parisian culture and all that sort of thing.
My high school teacher was Monsieur Troupe. And I always had this idea that France was way overblown. I mean, I took French, but I thought, these people that are just, Francophiles, that's just way over the top. Until, of course, I went to France. Until, of course, I went to Paris. I became the worst, absolutely adoring every little bit of it. I mean, I think people who experience Paris, and this may be an overstatement, but because I'm a Francophile, I'll say it. I mean, you do get changed.
Yeah.
There's something so magical about that place.
Yeah, you bring it back with you, and you look for that sort of thing here,
And you bring it to the French twist.
Yes, definitely, most definitely.
Are there the new pieces that you want to especially share about, to let us know about a little bit of the magic that you're sharing?
Well, one of my favorites is I wrote a new song for Brandon Jackson, who's playing La Bijou, who's a French, an American jazz singer in Paris. Okay. And it's just this song about let's have a great time here tonight at the cabaret, and everybody dances and sings with him, and it's just wonderful. So.
And how is it to both direct and be in a piece?
Very difficult. I am trying to find some hours between now and Friday where I can practice my part, because they just don't arrive. I'm also doing a lot of the set painting and that sort of thing, so because it's part of what I do. And so creating the world, and it's difficult because one of my performers says you're a director, so even while I'm interacting with them, I'm judging them and myself, and trying to wear both hats at the same time. But sometime this week that's got to stop.
We're so appreciative you could make any time to come on the radio, for sure.
And you were mentioning that you had seen when you first came to the Twin Cities, and how does it feel for you to see it now in your
It'll be
theater?
so fun to see see this piece reimagined, and I had not seen the original of this piece, French Twist, but just having seen Joe's whole aesthetic with the founding of Flying Foot Forum, and I think you didn't know you were going to be founding a company.
No.
You were just doing a show.
I was just putting things together.
Right. And then suddenly it was like, well, that all worked.
Might as well do this.
Right. And 25 years later, it's gone like a flash. But I just remember us as graduate students, we had just never seen anything like that combination of percussion, but then the strong sense of story, which sometimes you say dance, especially to a theater audience, they're like, oh, I don't do that.
Because there's no
I don't
story.
understand it. Yeah. So Joe just makes it so much fun and engaging, and because there is this story that you also get to fill in the blanks on, you know.
Right,
So it's just that great combination.
So you get to go to Paris.
Yeah, you get a little night in Paris here in the Twin Cities, and we're surrounded by like Meritage and
Yes.
Le Vieux Carré, and you know, even though
And of
that's New
course,
Orleans.
this exploration of, you know, between the Belle Epoque era and the Jazz Age of all these expat communities of artists in Paris that
Right.
come up in the show.
Right.
Because, you know, like Oscar Wilde said, when good Americans die, they go to Paris. Someone said, where do the bad Americans go? He said, well, they stay in America.
They never left.
Right.
So French Twist plays June 22nd to July 15th. And I encourage our audience to come see Paris, see the French Twist, enjoy the music, enjoy the stories, enjoy the wildest imaginings of the City of the Light.
Exactly.
Yes.
So thank you, Joe.
Thank
Joe.
you.
And now I'd like to just finish up the rest of the season
Okay.
before I let you go. We have
All right.
3 minutes, but I want to make sure that our folks hear about when we left. The last thing was the Agitators. Marie Rosetta is
Marie
going.
and Rosetta, Sister
Yeah.
Rosetta Tharpe, who just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the godmother of rock and roll and soul. So we have a great two-hander show during the holiday time about her, her forging her career and her friendship with her musical protege Marie Knight. So it's just great fun. You
Oh,
hear-
and
yeah.
and again, good music.
Oh yes, yeah.
Antigone, February 1st to March 3rd.
Antigone, and this is actually, I just heard from the director, it's a reprise of a devised piece, as we were talking about, an
Okay.
ensemble created take on Antigone, but in our push for, again, as Theo said, that you're leaving all this great talent aside when you cast the roles the way they were written. So it's actually, in order to get more people of color, they opened their heads and said, well, what if this were an all-woman Antigone? Because it is Antigone's story,
Yes.
even though it's written as though she's sort of, you know, she's at the mercy of the men in her
yeah.
life. Right. So that just really gives it a different take.
So will Creon be a woman, or will we get to see behind the scenes women?
Creon will be a woman. So,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
that'll be very cool. So that's coming up, and that'll also have a nice run for schools as well, for any teachers out there.
Good show to take students to for the history as well as innovation.
Exactly.
Skin of Our Teeth.
Oh, what a great show by Thornton Wilder, huh? And it's always timely, especially now.
Yes, things are awfully insane.
Produced by Girl Friday Productions, our dear friend Kirby Bennett, and directed and designed by Joel Sass. That's going to be great.
And the next one after that is Marjorie Prime.
Yes, and that is, you know, exploring the idea of how does technology interweave in our lives with a woman who's losing her memory, and it takes place in the future, and her family gets her an artificial intelligence, a young, handsome man to be the spirit of her husband, her late husband, who's now feeding her life back to her. But you get to change it, right?
Oh, she gets to rewrite.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
The next show, Heaven, May 31st to June 23rd.
And we'll have Joe Koala back. That is a great music by Chan Poling, and it's set during the Bosnian conflict. But it really is about friendship and and love, and of course how we make it through times of war.
Jefferson Township Sparkling Junior Talent Pageant.
Oh, Will Franny, get the crown. You've got to come see that. That's a world premiere by Keith Hovis. That'll be a fun summer delight next year.
Agatha Christie, Rule of Thumb, July 12th through August 25th.
Get your tickets at parksquaretheater.org. Buy this year's mystery on next year's. Add one more show and it's a package.
So it is cool. You can finish up this season. There's 3 left.
Yep.
And then you can buy next season too. So go to parksquaretheater.org. Wild, crazy, fun, delightful season that I am so looking forward to.
Oh, what a pleasure to be down here on the moors and in the streets of Paris with
We've got
you,
to do
Lori.
our hound. Woo!
Yeah. Woo!
Go see the Hounds of Baskerville. It's coming up.